Myoglobin versus hemoglobin. The very basic difference between these terms is that myoglobin, a monomeric protein that binds oxygen and supplies it to skeletal muscles, whereas hemoglobin, a heterotetrameric protein found in erythrocytes. Hemoglobin transports oxygen from the atmosphere to the body. There are close kinship relationships between hemoglobin and myoglobin, both conjugated proteins, and their prosthetic group, non-protein part, is the heme group. Also read apoptosis and necrosis differences. Let's compare myoglobin versus hemoglobin side by side. But before we get started, I wanna say you watch the video at the end of this article for a better understanding. Myoglobin versus hemoglobin differences. However, there are a lot of differences between myoglobin and hemoglobin, but there are also similarities between them. Now let's see a bit of similarity between these two terms. Myoglobin versus hemoglobin similarities. Both are two globular proteins with an iron nucleus. They are colored. Its color depends on the oxidation state of the iron they contain and the partial pressure of O2. Both transport oxygen and therefore they have structural similarities. They bind molecules like CO or NO. They contain heme groups formed by 4 pyrrole rings that complex a divalent iron Fe+2. Myoglobin definition and structure. Myoglobin is a complex protein of the third level of structural organization. It is a single-chain protein found in muscle tissue where it serves as an intracellular storage site for oxygen. It is able to bind oxygen to muscle cells, which gives them the energy to contract. Myoglobin is a relatively small protein that contains a heme group with an iron atom, and whose function is to store and transport oxygen. Structure. Myoglobin is a globular protein consisting of a single chain of approximately 150 amino acids. Additionally, its molecular weight is approximately 18 kd. Excluding the 2 His residues involved in the oxygen fixation process, the interior of myoglobin contains only non-polar residues. Moreover, it has a protein called heme, which consists of iron and responsible for the red and brown color of protein. Is myoglobin globular? Exactly. Myoglobin is a globular protein category of singular chain structure possessing a prosthetic heme group at the pivot. Further, there is an iron attached at the pivot of the heme group associates with hexaligands, tetranitrogenous atoms of the porphyrin ring, an O2 molecule, and an imidazole side chain remnant His64. Hemoglobin definition and structure. Hemoglobin is the most important element in the blood, an iron-containing protein. It is the key part of red blood cells. The main functions of hemoglobin are oxygen transfer and buffer function. In addition, hemoglobin is able to bind a small amount of carbon dioxide in the tissue and release it in the lungs. However, both a deficiency and an excess of this protein are dangerous. Normally, the hemoglobin content in the blood of men is slightly higher than that of women. Its level is variable. It changes depending on age, habits, and lifestyle. Health status. Structure. Hemoglobin has many structural similarities with the myoglobin and is capable of binding molecular oxygen in a reversible manner. But, while myoglobin is confined to the muscles and peripheral tissues in general, hemoglobin is found in erythrocytes or red blood cells. Hemoglobin is a protein with a quaternary structure, that is, it is made up of 4 polypeptide chains, alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. The molecular weight is about 66.8 kd. Alpha subunit contains 141 amino acid residues. The beta subunit contains 146 amino acid residues. It can carry up to 4 oxygen molecules. Because each chain has a heme protein group, there are 4 iron atoms in each hemoglobin molecule. Hemoglobin. Mature hemoglobin is a heterotetrameric, alpha, 2, beta, 2, heme protein discovered in erythrocytes where it's capable of bonding with oxygen and carrying bounded oxygen everywhere the body and lungs. where it's utilized in aerobic type of metabolic pathways. Every hemoglobin tetramer subunit possesses a prosthetic group heme identical to that specified for myoglobin. The quaternary hemoglobin composition leads to physiologically significant allosteric synergies within the subunits, a characteristic without monomeric myoglobin, which is contrarily very related to hemoglobin alpha subunit. Hemoglobin importance: assists in sustaining pH. It performs a part in erythrocyte metabolism. They serve as physiological operating catabolites. It provides blood color. Hemoglobin works as a messenger for stocking CO2 as well as O2. Hemoglobin types: embryonic hemoglobin, glycosylated hemoglobin, A1, HbA1, hemoglobin, A2, HbA2, hemoglobin, A3, HbA3, hemoglobin, myoglobin. The tertiary composition of myoglobin is that of a conventional water-soluble globular protein. Its secondary composition is rare, in which it holds a really large portion, 75%, of the alpha helical secondary composition. All myoglobin unit holds a sole heme crowd embedded into protein hydrophobic cleft. Hydrophobic cooperations within the hydrophobic amino acid R groups on the inside of the cleft in the protein and tetraperol ring has fully maintained the conjugated heme protein. In extension, a nitrogen atom/particle from a histidine R group placed over the sphere of the heme ring is correlated by an iron atom, moreover maintaining the cooperation within the heme and protein. In oxymyoglobin, the leftover bonding place on iron atom, sixth bonding site, is O2 owned, whose bonding is maintained by second histidine remnants. Myoglobin importance: aid in controlling body heat. Bring O2 to the muscle tissues. It supports the body at the starved condition of O2, particularly in anaerobic conditions. Myoglobin possesses a great empathy for O2 binding, which enables it to stock it in muscles effectually. Key differences: myoglobin versus hemoglobin. Hemoglobin possesses 4 chains of 2 distinctive categories, as alpha, gamma, beta, and epsilon, which depend on hemoglobin variety and compose a tetramer construction, while myoglobin includes single polypeptide series, so-called monomer. Both possess the intermediate ion as ion and ligand of O2 binding. Hemoglobin is carried onward with the blood to all body parts, also assists in conveying O2. Myoglobin serves O2 solely to muscles, does help while there is a lot of O2 demand by blood. Hemoglobin ties by O2, CO2, CO, no, BPH including H+. On the other side, myoglobin ties solely with O2. Hemoglobin also recognized as Hb, available in greater quantity in red blood cells, while myoglobin is likewise recognized as Mb. It provides hemoglobin ahead systematically with blood to the whole body, while myoglobin provides O2 solely to muscles. Moreover, both molecules possess O2 binding capacity, as presented before. Conclusion: myoglobin versus hemoglobin. Hemoglobin and myoglobin are fairly and physiologically necessary because of their oxygen binding strength. These were the primary 3D molecules discovered through X-ray crystallography. Anomalies in the components may begin to critical disorders. Hemoglobin and myoglobin oppose in the required O2 affinities, but their core metal ion is identical, onward with identical ligand required particles/molecules. Both are essential to the body. Without them we can't imagine the life.